Hi everybody, this is FC7 and today I'm going to do another video on farming platinum in EverQuest. This will be my third video in the farming platinum series. So we'll get right into it. This is a instant zone, unlike the other two videos that I've made about farming. This is the task, the Mechamatic Guardian Adventures. It's given in Dragonscale Hills by quest giver Overvault Rigster. And to get it, you need to tell him the phrase head into, and you need at least 3 players. I just put on here possible clicky drops and notable items. So a few tips before I start. I usually have as many high capacity backpacks as I can, and I set a fellowship campfire at the entrance of the zone for my box team. And then I just make sure to sell all the items at the end of the zone to the summoned AA vendors. They're little clockworks you get. I think they were the veteran AAs in the past. So here is the start of the quest, the Overvault location, right here in Dragonscale. So unlike my last 2 videos, this isn't a static zone, so you will need at least one other person, maybe a guildmate or something, to be in your group with you. You can use a mercenary as one of your people, so I mean at this point, if you're watching this, you probably have more than one account. So my advice is just to box it. Now, for those unfamiliar, I'll just show you the entrance to the zone. For some people that haven't been here in years, it might take some jogging of your memory to realize how to actually zone into it. You just find the giant robot that's walking around. So we should be up here somewhere. And there he is. I know before I started doing this, I forgot how to actually zone into this guy. So you get up to him where he usually kicks you, and there'll be like a pop-up, and you just choose to enter. Okay, once you zone in and your team is here, set up your fellowship if you want to. Just start buffing. So in my case, I'll be using my magician. I do use a mage and a ranger for this. They're both level 110 plus. And just showing some stats here at the start. I did 4 or 5 runs before this, and I averaged about 20,000 platinum every 20 minutes. So that averages out to be about 60 to 75,000 platinum an hour. So I found it's about 20,000 platinum, 3 or 4,000 platinum either way through the runs. It depends a lot on the amount of distractions that you have. It depends a lot on how fast you get done, because if you do finish too fast, you have to consider repops. So repops take a little bit, but they're not all that bad. So what I'm going to be doing is showing an example of how I do this. In this case, I'll be using my mage. But like I said, I also use a ranger. But any class could probably do. Any class above a certain level. These mobs are around level 75 plus. Maybe 75 to 80. And if you have like a character that's level 100, maybe even a little bit less, you could probably do this no problem. You could probably do this with a cleric, a necro, using stationary dots. In this case, I'm using my mage's beam spells and rain spells, along with the damage shields that he gets. I know wizards get really good beam spells. I could probably use my wizard as well. I do have a mercenary up, a healer mercenary just in case. I don't really need him that much, but it's good to have. Just in case you keep getting interrupted, your spells keep getting interrupted or something. And they only cost like 30 platinum every 15 minutes or something like that. So basically the tactic is just to go from the start of the zone to the end of the zone. It's simple as that. and just try to destroy everything on the way. So as you can see, just gather up a bunch of mobs, and as soon as you can, or as soon as you think you have enough, just cast your beam spells and destroy them all at once. And use the advanced loot window just to get all the loot. Loot everything at once. And there you go. You just keep doing this over and over until you get to the end of the zone. Depending on what class you use, just use any kind of area effect damage. I'm not too familiar with melee because I played caster my entire EQ career, but I do think they get some form of AE damage. I'm sure it would work just as well. Right now I'm just using a caster just as an example. I mean, there's 16 different classes, so haven't quite mastered the melee yet, but it's probably even easier. Like, I know berserkers have some kind of damage that they can do all at once. So it all depends on your playstyle. So, I also just wanted to show you that there are items that they're no drop, and just ignore those because you can't sell them to a vendor. Some quest items, there's maybe a handful of quest items using this tactic in this zone that you just can't loot. They're kind of worthless, so I just let them rot. So just keep going this way. So I'm trying to think of any other tips. Maybe make sure your tribute is on. Most times I just forget to turn it on. Personal tribute. It'll make this a little bit easier too. Now, I thought at this point I would show you a little bit of my ranger and how he handles this. It's a lot easier to pull because I can use my bow. And this is the last floor of the zone. There's like levels, different floors you can go up. I figured I'd just skip the entire middle because I don't want to waste 20 minutes on a video. Now with my ranger, I can use this ability called Arrow Storm, which is very handy doing this tactic, farming. And it does an area effect damage. And there's also an AA that he uses at the same time, so it makes this really simple. So something else I thought I would mention is that they just introduced level 100 heroic characters to the game, where you can buy a character for a certain amount, either level 85 or 100. If you're newer and you want to try this tactic, I'm pretty sure a level 100 could handle this. Definitely a necro, I know. Maybe even a mage with his beam spells. I would just make sure to have a healer mercenary with me if I was level 100 for sure. So I'll just finish this off here. So my ideal setup is just using 2 mages and my ranger, and I have 1 mage parked at the front of the zone, 1 mage parked at the end of the zone, and they all just take turns going to and from the entrance to the back. And I just use one of my mages to call up hero, whatever character I'm using, if I need to. So this is the end of the zone. You'll know because you'll see this area. There's like a pillar of light on the side there. And what I usually do is just park my character right over here. As you can see, my second mage is parked at the end here. And then I just use the AA merchant, and just sell all the junk that I collected, all the loot, all at once. All the no drop items will just remain in your bag. Make sure when you start out not to leave anything important and sellable in your bag that you don't want to sell. So just sell all that stuff, and I go back to my Tribute Master, and all these stuff that I can't sell, I'll just put in Tribute, either Guild Tribute or Personal Tribute. Also, one last thing to mention is just, if you need another vendor, if you run out of your AA vendors, of course, just use any alts that you have with you in the zone, or just go back to Dragon Scale, and there's vendors here, of course. And the very last thing I thought I'd show is just the 2 clickies that you get at random. They're not very common. I think I've had 2 or 3 of these drop, the shrink clickies, and I've been doing this all year, so they're not very common at all. It's really just a clickable shrink item for when you're in a raid and everybody's harping on you to shrink. It's pretty nice. It's basically the same thing as the Earring of Diminutiveness. And then you have a clicky that will, it's targetable invis, so you can make somebody invisible or yourself, which is pretty nice. The only problem is it's like a 15-minute recast, so pretty nice but pretty useless at the same time. So that should just about do it for this video. Like, subscribe, leave feedback. Have a great day.